Welcome back to No Budget Films. Here's a new Byzantine video covering what I consider to be my top 8 naval battles in Byzantine history. Some months ago, I made a video covering what are my top 10 Byzantine land battles. Hence, due to this previous video featuring land battles in the Byzantine era, I thought it would also be a good idea to do another video, this time on Byzantine naval battles. The Byzantines, true enough in their whole history, fought countless battles, whether against themselves in civil wars or against foreign enemies. But aside from land battles, the Byzantines too were engaged in sea battles, especially due to their empire being a maritime one in the Mediterranean Sea. As much as how Byzantine land battles were exciting, their naval battles too for sure had a lot of intensity and excitement, yet they remain very underrated compared to land battles. Now for these naval battles to qualify for this video, they have to be from within the era of the Byzantine Empire, from the 4th to 15th centuries, and must be battles between Byzantium and a foreign enemy, thus no civil war battles will be covered here. Additionally, this video was strictly only for naval battles, and thus we will not include those during sieges which included land battles unless the siege was mostly a naval one. In this video, I will be ranking these 8 battles from 8 to 1, with 1 being my personal favorite battle, as well as the battle I think is most important in Byzantine history. Now before we begin the video, please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel, as your support really helps in growing it. During the 820s, the Byzantine Empire had lost control of the important Mediterranean island of Crete to Arab pirates, who then established their own emirate in Crete and thus becoming a threat to the Byzantines in the Aegean Sea. Now in the 870s, the Arab Emir of Crete sent a Greek renegade named Photios to raid Byzantine-held islands in the Aegean with a fleet of 50 ships. In this raid, Photios was able to capture a great amount of loot and prisoners, which he sold off as slaves, while he also managed to reach the Sea of Marmara, almost threatening the capital Constantinople itself. The Byzantine Emperor Basil I, however, was quick to respond to this threat, and so he sent a large fleet led by the admiral Niketas Ourifas to counterattack the Arab pirates. The two fleets then clashed with each other at the Battle of Kardia at the Gulf of Saros in Thrace in 873. Very little though is recorded about this battle, except that it ended with a Byzantine victory, wherein the Byzantines, using their secret superweapon Greek fire, managed to burn down 20 Arab ships, whereas the surviving 30 Arab ships sailed back to Crete in defeat. Photios, however, could not accept defeat, and thus he launched another naval expedition to raid Greece, wherein he would once again lose to the Byzantines and get killed in battle. Despite the Arab Caliphate being a very new power, not even 30 years old, they have expanded so rapidly that they soon enough began seizing former Byzantine ships and using them to raid Byzantine territory by sea. Quite impressive for a people that just newly came out of the desert. By 655, the Arab navy had now gone as far as attacking the coast of Byzantine Asia Minor. Thus, the Emperor Constans II responded by personally leading a naval counterattack against the Arabs. Before the battle, the 9th century Byzantine historian Theophanes the Confessor says that the emperor had a dream wherein he was in the city of Thessaloniki, and when waking up, an interpreter told him this meant he would win a major victory, as the word Thessaloniki sounded similar to Thessalonike, which is Greek for give victory to another. However, this was not the case, as when the much larger and numerous Byzantine fleet numbering up to 500 confronted the smaller ships of the Arab fleet numbering up to only 200, the Arabs still won by trapping the larger Byzantine ships. Although the Byzantines lost, Constans II still survived, switching his clothes with a sailor, and thus in the disguise of a sailor he escaped, while the sailor dressed as the emperor was slain, being mistaken for Constans II. It was even said that following the Arab victory in this battle, they attempted to besiege Constantinople by sea but failed as a storm suddenly came and sank the Arab fleet. Since the beginning of the 10th century, the Byzantines had lost control of all of Sicily to the Arab Aghlabid dynasty, in which the latter was absorbed into the new Arab Fatimid Caliphate by 909, and so was Sicily, although a few Byzantine outposts in the island remained. By the 960s, however, the Fatimids would succeed in taking over a large number of the surviving Byzantine strongholds in Sicily, and due to this, the Byzantine Emperor Nikephoros II Phocas responded by organizing an expedition with the intention to drive off the Arabs from Sicily and possibly reconquer the island. In 964, the Byzantine fleet, when arriving in Sicily, took back the city of Messina from the Arabs, although they were unsuccessful in trying to recapture Rometa, which the Arabs had just seized. Byzantine fleet led by the Admiral Nicetas Abalantis would then retreat to the Strait of Messina, but as they tried to cross it, they were suddenly met by the Arab fleet. This confrontation now is known as the Battle of the Straits, as it occurred at the Strait of Messina, and here the Arabs used a brilliant strategy by jumping into the sea in order to scale the Byzantine ships, which was thus true enough successful. This tactic true enough succeeded in destroying many Byzantine ships, and thus the Battle of the Straits ended with an Arab victory, wherein thousands of Byzantine soldiers were taken as prisoners, and so was the Admiral Nicetas. Following the Byzantine defeat here, the Byzantines were thus forced to ask for a truce with the Fatimids that would recognize the Fatimids' rule over Sicily. Following the capture of Constantinople by the Latins of the Fourth Crusade in 1204, Greece and most of the Aegean fell under the rule of different Latin lords. Constantinople, however, was recaptured by the Byzantines from the Latins in 1261, wherein the new Emperor Michael VIII Palaiologos intended to restore most of Greece back under Byzantine rule, and this would mean going to battle against the Latin principalities and their main ally, the Republic of Venice. Sometime in 1275, the Byzantine forces were defeated by the Latin Duchy of Athens and the breakaway Byzantine state of Thessaly at the Battle of Neopatras. Thus, the victorious Latin navy docked at the port of Demetrias, awaiting a counterattack by the Byzantine fleet. Soon enough, Byzantine ships arrived right in time to battle the Latin fleet of the Venetians, and with the Latin ships having towers, they had the advantage over the Byzantine ships that didn't have them. Just when it seemed like the Byzantines were going to lose the battle, reinforcements arrived, led by the Emperor Michael VIII's brother John Palaiologos by land, thus boosting the morale of the Byzantine troops at sea. As John's men arrived, they boarded small boats and were able to overpower the Latin fleet due to their numbers. At the end of the day, the Byzantines had won the battle, while even capturing many of the Latin leaders. Ever since 535, the Byzantine army had been engaged in a long and bloody war to recapture Italy, the birthplace of the Roman Empire, from the Ostrogoths. By 550, with the war at its 15th year, the Byzantines were now gaining the upper hand despite the Ostrogoths led by their king Totila still resisting, going as far as building a navy to block off Byzantine attempts to attack Italy by sea. As the Byzantine Emperor Justinian I the Great sent his general Narses with a large army to invade Italy by land, the Byzantine general in Ravenna Valerian and his nephew, the accomplished General John, boarded their ships to attack the Ostrogoth fleet blockading Italy in order to clear the way for Narses' invasion. The fleets of the Byzantines and Ostrogoths, which were almost the same in number, thus clashed with each other in the Adriatic Sea, wherein both sides attacked each other by firing missiles and boarding each other's ships, as by this point in time, warships no longer had rams. As the battle raged on, the Byzantines had gained the upper hand, that they soon enough destroyed a large number of Gothic ships. At the end of the day, the Byzantines true enough won the battle, whereas they captured 36 Gothic ships. Thus, with this Byzantine victory, the tide of the war turned to the favor of the Byzantines, who would eventually win the war and crush the Ostrogoths by 554, wiping their kingdom off the map. Another foreign enemy to have attacked the Byzantine capital by sea a number of times were the Kievan Rus from the north, wherein their most memorable attack on Constantinople took place in 941. Here, due to most of the Byzantine fleet away battling the Arabs in the Mediterranean Sea, a large army of Rus warriors coming from the north sailed down the Black Sea and pillaged Bithynia. Although despite most of the Byzantine fleet not present in the capital, the Emperor Romanos I Lekapenos immediately responded to the Rus attack by assembling the 15 ships left behind in Constantinople, which he armed with Greek fire, the secret superweapon of the Byzantines. When seeing the Byzantine fleet so small in number, the Rus prince Igor underestimated their strength, and thus ordered his ships to charge at them, intending to capture them, only to be proven wrong, as these Byzantine ships emitted flames from their mounted flamethrowers in an instant. In the words of the chronicler Liutprand, the bishop of Cremona, the Rus, seeing the flames, jumped overboard, preferring water to fire. Some sank, weighed down by the weight of their breastplates and helmets, others caught fire. The Rus were therefore defeated at sea, and those captured were beheaded by the Byzantines. Although the Rus attack still continued in Bithynia across Constantinople, until a large Byzantine army, led by the generals John Kourkouas and Bardas Phocas, arrived right in time to finish off the Rus raiders, thus ending with a total Byzantine victory. During the 5th century, the Vandals have gone a long way from being a small insignificant Germanic barbarian tribe in Europe to becoming the masters of the Mediterranean Sea, and it's all happened under the rule of the ruthless adventurer King Genseric, who after invading Roman Africa established his own Vandal kingdom there, as well as capturing the important port city of Carthage, which he made his capital. With the newly gained fleet he seized from Africa, Genseric in 455 sacked Rome and would later carry out devastating raids on the coasts of the Eastern and Western Roman empires. By 468, the Eastern Roman or Byzantine Emperor Leo I, though, had had enough of Genseric's vandal raids, and thus he organized a massive expedition with a massive fleet of 1,000 ships with 100,000 men together with his Western Roman co-emperor Anthemius to finish off the Vandals once and for all. But in charge of this grand naval expedition, though, was Leo's incompetent brother-in-law Basiliscus, whereas leading the land invasion of the Vandal kingdom of Egypt was the general Heraclius, and leading the Western Roman forces to capture Sardinia from the Vandals was the general Marcellinus. As the 1,000 ships led by Basiliscus arrived off the coast of Carthage, Basiliscus however negotiated with Genseric, who offered a 5-day truce, but little did Basiliscus know that he had already run into a trap. True enough, 5 days later, Genseric unleashed his deadly fire ships, having them charge straight at the Byzantine fleet. And thus at the end, the Byzantines lost half their fleet in this battle, all while their commander Basiliscus fled like a coward. Although his lieutenant Ioannis stayed behind, fighting off the Vandals that boarded his ship with such bravery, only to die by jumping off to the sea when his ship was captured, as he chose to die rather than surrender to the barbarian Vandals. The Battle of Cape Bon thus ended in a humiliating defeat for the Byzantines and the Western Romans, thus making this the last time Eastern and Western Romans would cooperate with each other, and just 8 years later, Western Rome fell. Now, ever since the Arab Umayyad Caliphate toppled and replaced the Rashidun Caliphate, the First Islamic Empire in 661, its new ruler Caliph Muawiyah I simply had the intention to capture the Byzantine capital Constantinople. In 669, Muawiyah's son Yazid had gone as far as attacking Chalcedon and the Asian shore right across Constantinople, while in 670 the Umayyad fleet captured Byzantine Kyzikos in the Marmara to make it their base for their upcoming attack on the Byzantine capital, all while the Arabs captured Smyrna in 672 as well, to make it their other naval base. It would only be in 674 though, when the Arabs would launch their full attack on Constantinople by sea, wherein they first attacked Thrace, whereas the land army went as far as attacking Constantinople's Golden Gate, all while the Arab fleet had a series of inconclusive clashes with the Byzantine fleet. According to the Byzantine historian Theophanes the Confessor, the Arabs and Byzantines were engaged in intermittent attacks for 4 years, whereas the Arabs returned to Kyzikos in September and returned to Constantinople in April. The battle's tide would thus turn in favor for the Byzantines in either late 677 or early 678, when the Emperor Constantine IV himself went into battle himself head-on in his ship with a new secret weapon, Greek fire, which was the first time it was used. The sight of the flames alone blown out from the Byzantine ships routed the Arab navy, all while another Byzantine victory in Asia Minor against the Arabs also in 678 forced the Arabs to abandon the siege, and when returning to Syria, the remains of the fleet were destroyed in a storm. The Byzantines thus won a great victory which forced the Arab Umayyads to now pay tribute to them, whereas Greek fire now had proven to be Byzantium's secret superweapon for success. And now this is about it for this list of my top 8 naval battles in Byzantine history. Naval battles in Byzantine history are true enough very underrated, and just as how much land battles in the Byzantine era were exciting, naval battles too had its own fair share of excitement, whether they ended in a Byzantine victory or defeat. True enough, with the Byzantines being a naval power, they sure had their own fair share of naval battles in their history, and it is simply for this reason to why I created this video. Anyway, I hope you learned a lot from this video and hopefully discovered how underrated yet exciting Byzantine naval battles were. Once again, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see new Byzantine history content, and thank you all for watching.